so extra, but I know I'm the same. Love me in spite of my trauma. Give me what I need instead of the drama. Cause when it pop off, it's like, oh my. All good all day, but the night we be going so hard on the flip side. So tell me what we on a day, babe. I could keep that same energy. When you go low, I go low too. But you'd rather stay high, I know you. Can we stay high, babe? I'd rather be on that wave, tryna control our emotions. If we on the right side of passion, we could share love in the ocean. But if you wanna go insane either way, baby, we could go all night. We could do it all night. We could go all night, all night. Do we heal, do we bleed? I'ma follow your lead, but we could go all night. Now all of my calls go to voicemail. I block you so I don't raise hell. Should've talked through it in detail. Our separate ways ain't gon' end well, no. But when we get back, it's like, oh my. All bad all day, but the night get that good, good till we act right. So tell me what we on today, babe. I could keep that same energy. When you go low, I go low too. You'd rather stay high, I know you. Can we stay high, babe? I'd rather be on that wave, tryna control our emotions. If we on the right side of passion, we could share love in the ocean. But if you wanna go insane either way, baby, we could go on. We could do it all night. We could go all night, all night. Do we heal, do we bleed? I'ma follow your lead.
Look,
we could go all night.
I've been calm, cool, collected, but you pushing on my nerves. And I know when your attention, I'm under pressure.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Nathan Ivy with you. Thank you for being here. And we're going to start the show very quickly. On today's show, I'm scheduled to speak with CPS Board President Carolyn Jones. We're going to talk about blended learning, get some more insights about how she made her decision, and also give you some usable information as we move forward. It's the Nathan Ivy Show. Cincinnati's first daily digital talk show that focuses on the Black community. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Hey, listen, please take a second to like and in particular share today's show. Please like and share today's show. I'll give you about 60 seconds. When you share the show, fam, more people see it. So if you think this is content that you enjoy, you think people may get something out of it, please share this moment this morning, and we'll get started in about 60 seconds.
Do we heal, do we bleed? I'ma follow your lead, but we can go all night.
The Nathan Ivy Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivy Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
Yeah, talking to my mirror like I love you so much. Curving on my critics like I heard you, so what? You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. Tally all the I ever gave on my head. Lately I've been living like I can't take a loss. They ain't wanna help me, that's what made me a boss. You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. We don't give a that's what they don't understand.
I'm back again like flu season. I broke records while loose leafing. I'm coming down my roof, leaving. Don't give a I don't care. Did the by my lonesome. No wonder now I'm on one. No shortcuts on that long run. All I really want is my share. Get on my God, on my totem is nothing. In the discussion, all them feelings I throw on my pen on percussion. The disgusting. I hear them bragging about that they did, and it do not move me, not in the least. They ain't been dropping no seeds in the soil, but swear that you on my spot at the feast. I've been on go mode, showboat, rowboat, wave ride.
All right, good morning, everybody. Let's get back to the show. Thank you for being here. Many things to discuss. Many things to discuss, man. We are living in amazing times. As I like to call it, the last days of common sense. Again, please take a second to like and share today's show if you feel inclined to do so. Hey, good morning, everybody. How are you? Welcome back. Yeah, this is me. This is me. Good morning to you. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Now, if you live in the city of Cincinnati, and you don't know, you're going to look outside this morning and see some snow. It started last night. Kind of caught me off guard. I really haven't been plugged into what the weather is. Just been grinding, making sure I'm on top of things with the family and of course, the talk show and the network, that's Sin Digital Media, the last honest place in Cincinnati media. That, by the way, good morning to you. Thank you for being here. Now, to me, the number one story in Cincinnati, there's a lot of very important issues. At the top of that list is the health and safety and well-being of the public. And in particular, I'm talking about the teachers, the administrators, the staff, and the students of the Cincinnati public school system. I'm not sure if you got a chance to check it out yesterday, but of course, Iris Rowley and her team put together, and they've been doing this in the community virtually all since last year. This ain't new. They got a chance to speak with the superintendent of the school board, Laura Mitchell. And then, as I understand it, Carolyn Jones chimed in as well. And I did get a chance to view most of that. Thought it was very interesting. It'll help to inform some of my conversation with Carolyn today. If you have questions, please get them ready. I try to get as many in as I can today. I'm searching for understanding, and I'm straight up terrified like every other parent. I'll be honest with you. I'm terrified. I'm terrified about what that means in terms of the health of my daughter, my son, and myself. As many of you know, or maybe you don't know, I'm a cardiac patient. Had a heart attack almost a year to the month. Actually, it was February 2nd. So February 2nd will be a milestone for me. So I'm one of those people that's on the list in terms of pre-existing conditions. And I'm very COVID sensitive, I take it very, very seriously. And so I have a lot of questions, as you do as well. So please line them up. I'll try to get as many in as possible this morning, all right? She is scheduled to give us a call at 9 a.m., which gives us some time to process how we feel, what we think. I know the NAACP, I'm not sure if you got a chance to watch their live stream podcast yesterday. It's called Truth to Power. I know many, many people did. And they had some very similar concerns as well. Joe and TNT, that's Joe Mallory and Tina Cole Taylor, they let their voice be heard as well. Just a lot of stuff that we've been saying, family, like, why are we going back on February 1st when there's an option to go back on March 1st? And everybody with a brain, every logical human being is going to tell you that it would be safer. And so my thing, quite honestly, is that when we voted for these people, when we voted for the Pam Bowers, when we voted for the Ryan Messers, when we voted for Carolyn Jones, when we voted for Ben Lindy, when we voted for all these individuals, they told us that they were going to do two things. One, listen to the community, which they are not doing because they did not do a survey. And now I'm reading that they're not going to have, and maybe something has changed and you have more information than I do, but the last thing I read and the last of my knowledge is that they're not going to have a school board meeting on Saturday, which was canceled. I want to know why. Why is this the last opportunity for us to put you on the record and the last opportunity before we go back into the wilderness of COVID-19 while we're in purple in Hamilton County? Why not? So a lot of question marks. A lot of what I'm hearing from parents and teachers is straight up fear. They're terrified. I mean, this ain't a game. People are not exercising their First Amendment rights and letting their voice be heard because it's a game to them. They're terrified. And like I said, when these folks was running for office, they said they were going to listen to us, didn't they? Every last one, we're going to listen to the parents. We're going to listen to the parents. They said they were going to protect our children. Well, are they doing that? We'll find out. At least we'll talk to Carolyn Jones. Listen, folks, I go hard in the paint. Wilt Chamberlain and Shaq style with a little bit of Hakeem Olajuwon, right? But I really believe that we should allow people to say their piece. I want to hear your thought process. And we'll do that this morning starting at 9 a.m. So, whatever your thoughts are is whatever your thoughts are. And I'm looking for people that have contrary opinions. If you're a parent and you're like, you know what, Nate, nah, they need to go back. Cool. Tell us why. Tell us why this morning. Tell us why. We want to hear it. 513-873-7134. Like, I genuinely want to hear your thoughts. You do not have to agree with me to get on this show. And to get respect on this show. I'm going to respect you the same way you respect me, like I do everybody else. So if you have a contrary opinion, again, your opinion is welcome. Your opinion is welcome here on the Nathan Ivy Show. So that's coming up at 9 a.m. this morning. 513-873-7134. If you like to share your thoughts, I hope you're having a spectacular day. I hope you're having an absolutely spectacular day so far. I also want to give you a heads up. Midday Juice today at 1 p.m. with Ask Ashley, and a brand new podcast. And when I say brand new, I mean brand new in terms of CDM. A brand new podcast called Community Connector, hosted by Tiffany Daniels, will start on Monday. Starts on Monday. She talks about wealth building, motivation, inspiration, how to get to the bag, you know, how to build that legacy for you and your family, which in my opinion this is what time it is. That starts on Monday at 12 p.m. You'll see promos going out. When you do that, family, when you see those promos, please lift it up, socially speaking, social media speaking, and share it. Share. It's going to be very entertaining. Already is. She's been doing her own thing. Very, very privileged to be working with her. That starts on Monday. Stick around for that. That's going to be dope. I'm super excited. And then we got some more plans in the works. You know, I want to make Black History during Black History Month. And my patrons, check your feed starting today and over the weekend. I'm going to reveal to you first before we do the general virtual public, all right? Good morning to you. Yes, good morning to you. Good morning. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Again, if you like this kind of content, please like and share it. And here's my number. There's only one maximum rule for the show. Open your mind before you open your mouth. That's it. Other than that, it's all good. We can always agree to disagree. And hopefully, if you're traveling this morning in the city of Cincinnati, be careful out there. Be careful. I have not been out. My son woke me up this morning at about 5:30. He's an early riser. Like, Dad, listen, can we go outside and play today? I'm like, sure, son, we go outside and play. Right now? I said, no, man. Not right now. Let Daddy do what he got to do, and then we can get out there and throw snowballs. You know, that's what it is. Kids love snow. So that's what I'll be doing when he finishes virtual learning today. What is today, Thursday? Yeah, when he finishes virtual learning today, that's what we'll be doing. So I got skin in the game, family, just like you. We are in it together. Listen, before we go any deeper in the show, before I go any further, I need to remind you that today's show is sponsored by Team Wellburn. Are you in the market for a dream home? Well, if you're looking for a dream home, I know someone who can help you. It's Otis Wellburn Jr. and his team. Check this out. We'll be right back.
It's that Wellborn experience. It's that Wellborn experience. The Wellborn experience. 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 It's that Wellborn experience. The Wellborn experience. That Wellborn experience. Experience. Tell us what you need. That's the question we start with. We specialize selling condos, houses, apartments. Make sure that you happy with your residence. Keep it real, no filter. Otis, the realtor from the nattiest heaven sent. It's the Wellborn experience. Ain't nothing like it. Every time he talk to his client, he's so excited just knowing he able to put them in a place to lay their head. Not focusing on his profits, but on the client instead. He keeps it so professional and from his conversation. You can tell he studies before sharing information. Educated, motivated, ain't nobody better. Who's willing to walk you through every step to relieve the pressure? Yeah, and just so you know it's real, you get a special personalized rug once he closes the deal. So go and call him up so he can get you live. 513-252-1055.
Again, that's 513-252-1055. And you can go to their website this morning, thewellburnexperience.com, and find your dream home. That's what it's all about, right? Find your dream home. Also, starting this morning at 9 a.m., that's what the time is scheduled for. It's scheduled for a Zoom call with CPS Board President Carolyn Jones. How many people got a chance to check out the stream that Iris put out yesterday? I know that I saw a lot of comments. I chimed in and started watching it later. I was caught up at about 4 p.m. During the day yesterday, so wasn't able to participate live, but I want to get your impressions. I did receive a few direct messages from folks who were less than satisfied. If I had to rate, at least in terms of, and maybe I'll do like a rating. I put like a scale together and then rate the responses of all the school board members. Let me get my tongue together. All the school board members. That might be interesting. So far we've talked with Mike Morosky. We've talked with Pam Bowers. We've talked with Ryan Messer. Today we're scheduled to speak with Carolyn Jones. Tomorrow I think we're going to speak with Ben Lindy. Tuesday, we're going to speak with not Melanie Bates. She's the only one I haven't spoke with. Hold on one second here. What's going on? All right, let me make sure that you can hear me online here. That's very, very important. Making sure that you can hear me while we are on YouTube and on Facebook. So give me a thumbs up if you can hear me on Facebook. That's very, very important. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me on Facebook and YouTube. I think I figured it out. Appreciate you, because I'm just delivering flows over here. All right, Daryl, thank you. Sorry about that, family. So let me take it from the top here. I've been reacting to comments in the whole 9 yards. Okay, great. Brian writes, 10 minutes, no sound. That's never good. Never good. So listen, yeah. So people can't hear me. Great. Good. I'm glad you can hear me. Sound back. Good, great. Good morning, Telly. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you, Brian. See, that's when you know people care about you. I appreciate you. So yeah, my cam died on me and it kind of threw some systems out of whack. But I'm still scheduled to speak with Carolyn Jones this morning. And we're going to continue with that interview. The show goes on. Most definitely. All right. Your feed is down. Okay, great. I think everyone can hear me now. Great. Okay, good. Thank you so much. Okay, so like I said, coming up at 9 a.m. this morning, we're scheduled to speak with Carolyn Jones. We'll work all this stuff out on the fly. Scheduled to speak with Carolyn Jones. Carolyn Jones is the school board president. For the people that's getting the audio feed, this is going to be a little bit redundant because I want to catch everybody up. And I was reading some of the comments here, and people were like, well, Ryan Messer said a couple days back that he doesn't think that the CDA is equitable. Right. So why would you vote for it? That was my question for Ryan. I kept going back to, like, why would you ever vote for something that you know is less of an option? I don't get it. I just don't get it. Like, why would you ever do that? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. All right. And Ryan Messer, and again, here's what I give Ryan Messer a lot of credit for. I give him credit for coming on the show and giving us his honest opinion. I give him credit for that. And he spent an hour with us. I give him a lot of credit for that. And he tried to answer every single question. Someone writes, why did Superintendent Mitchell state that she had no say in the vote to return to blended learning? And Ryan Messer said that he voted to support the superintendent's recommendation. Right. Tanya writes, yeah, it's working because Spreaker is so different. Right. It is a different world. Right. That's a great, who was that? Rick Junette? That's a real good question. And I'm going to ask exactly, I'm going to ask the school board president what her thoughts is. Like, how did you arrive at your decision? Dale writes, Gremlins after you, Nate. No, it's not Gremlins. It's not Gremlins. It's just making sure that everything is A1 before we go live. That's what the real issue is. Like I said, I was spending some time just going through my settings last night with the cam that I'm using. And I should have charged it back up last night. I thought I was at a full charge. So obviously I was not. So it was my surprise when the cam went down. And then when that happens, when you got a stream going, it can kind of throw the audio off a little bit. But I think that at least the audio is strong. So at the very least this morning, what we can do is get Carolyn up on the cam, and I can still ask her questions. You can hear her even if you can't see me, at least for the time being. I want to give the cam a little bit to, thank you so much, TNT Res. I can hear it now. I want to give the cam some time to charge back up. And then maybe, 9:15, 9:30 or so, I'll plug it back in and we can get back to the choppers the way we normally do it. But the show goes on. All right. So let me get back to where we were saying. So I'm very concerned about that. So you're saying there's a back and forth. Superintendent Mitchell says that she had no say in the vote to return to blended learning. And she's right. I put this on the school board. The school board made this decision. And the school board can't run away from this. This was your decision. This is why people voted for you. You set the policy and directive. Should you take cues from the superintendent? Oh, absolutely. You should take her expertise and her presentations. But I think it's lazy. If that's the only thing they're doing, then somebody's not doing their job. Is lazy. You know what I'm saying? If they would have told us when they were running for election that when we got to a life or death situation that they were going to abdicate their leadership, then we wouldn't have voted for them. Simple as that. They never would have got the vote. Simple as that. Tiffany writes, Someone on Spreaker said that three CPS schools are doing remote: Fairview, Spencer, and Kilgore, and don't have to use CDA. You should find out why those schools can do remote and more urban schools cannot. My son attends Fairview. That is news to me. That is news to me. We are in a predicament where we have to choose facing COVID or sending him to Digital Learning Academy, which he'll be separated from his all the people in his class, his virtual class, and his teacher, which to us would set him back. So we got to make a decision. We're going to have to make a really tough decision. Do we send him to school for 2 days a week? And again, the point I was making is we're talking about 8 instructional days. And so I still struggle as to why you would you would risk public health for 8 instructional days. And actually, they're losing 4 instructional days with their teacher. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense. I'm still struggling. Sean writes, CDA is racist. CDA is racist? Is that right? Crystal writes, they sent something yesterday, Nate. Is that right? I don't remember this. I didn't receive anything. That has not hit our household. And our son goes to Fairview. So that's news to me. I have to get with the wifey. We'll talk about that. For all schools, they put the ownership, right? The ownership is with the school board. The ownership is with the school board. As I understand it, the superintendent makes recommendations, but the school board makes the decision. So no, none of that. Oh, I'm going to do what she said. Yeah, I mean, I can see, obviously, what she says matters. By she, I'm talking about Laura Mitchell. Yeah, I mean, she's running the district day to day. Yeah, what she says matters. Her insight, her recommendation, it matters, but it's the board that makes the decision. Now, if I'm wrong about that, set me straight. Maybe Carolyn Jones, I mean, she's in the job, so maybe she'll give us a different perspective on that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she'll educate us this morning. I'm here for that. I'm here for education. Jillian writes, essentially, schools are being allowed to choose what they want to do. Surveys went out to Fairview, I believe. The Covedale daughter can stay remote, but my Data M student can't. Well, again, if this is in fact true, and we'll get to the bottom of it, if this is in fact true, then it's just going to cause more chaos and confusion. And it goes back to why I said and stand by the virtual option was far more equitable. Everybody has the same access to their teacher. Everybody. Everybody's virtual. Everybody's on an even playing field in terms of the access to their primary teacher. Now, does every student, work the same way in terms of virtual? No. Or is every student going to be as successful as in virtual? No. But not every student, students are different learners. Not every student is the kind of student that can sit in class and listen to a lecture and learn. But that's what they have to do. To me, it's about making sure everybody has the same access to the education, the same access to their teacher. Access to your primary teacher during virtual learning is so, so, so important. Access to those AP courses, access to those language courses. That's what's so important right now. And why you can't control how well a student is going to academically do in virtual. What you can control is the number of days of the week that a student has access to their primary teacher. That's why I keep saying I'm focusing just narrowly on that. That's something that's a decision made by adults, by the school board, by the superintendent. And so if we all agree that CDA is an inferior option that takes away choices academically, and if we all agree that staying home is safer than going to school even 2 days a week, and if we all agree that by waiting till March, it'll be a safer environment, then again, why are they going to begin on February 1st? Now, I think these are all fair questions, but I think what we also need to talk about, family, is what do we do now? Because at this point, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. So I think part of the conversation should also be, so what are the near and medium term plans for CDA? Is there a plan? Ryan Messer said that there was some kind of pilot they were working on in which they were going to allow people to go to CDA and then you could stay in your school. But where is it at? Because school starts next week. School starts next week. So where is the plan? Where is it at? Like if the pilot's out there and I missed it, I'm sure Carolyn will let me know that. But if there is no pilot and they're working on it, how is that fair? How is that fair? It's laughable. It is laughable. That is amazing. But let me check my inboxes and making sure. Hey, what's up, Lermaine? Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Yeah, appreciate you, Brian. Brian checking on a brother, looking out for a brother. I appreciate it. Yeah, my cam, it's one of those fast charging cams. I'm not sure. I thought I was at 100% this morning, but it'll charge up to full very, very quickly, usually about 45 minutes. So at some point this morning, we'll turn the cam back on. That's the way we started the show, and we'll get back into it. Until then, it's a bit of an audio podcast on a video platform this morning, but we are where we are. We are where we are. Who doesn't love a good podcast? I know I do. So again, I'm trying to get as many of your comments in, and again, I'll go to you. I'll be comment heavy, with Carolyn, and try to get as many of your thoughts in as possible. As many as possible. Elaine writes, this is extremely disrespectful to the teachers and staff, and the employees received an email saying that if you don't come back, they'll be fired. Is that right? Well, I think that what I will say, again, I think I have a very high and favorable, generally speaking, I have a very favorable opinion of Laura Mitchell. Like across the board from what I've seen and what I hear, it's all positive. And I believe and want to believe, generally speaking, that each and every member of the school board cares. I stand by that. However, what I will say is that much like a crisis is when you see what people are really made of. A crisis is a real test of leadership. When everything's all good and there's no problems, that's the easiest thing in the world. That's the easiest position in which to be a leader, because you ain't got to really do nothing. You're not really being tested. Much like the coronavirus revealed to us that Donald Trump was not the right guy at the right time, the coronavirus is telling us something about how CPS does business. It's giving us an insight into how they operate when it really matters, when it's life and death, because this is life and death. It gives us a chance to analyze the way they really view parents. It gives us a chance to analyze the way they really view the people that work for them. Now, people may not like this, but this is how I look at it. I don't give a damn what nobody else thinks. This is how I feel about it. And all over the globe, crisis is an opportunity for us to see what leadership is made of. And we're getting a chance to see. So again, my question is, why was it a parent survey that was done now this year? And it's just not good enough. I know Ryan came on and was talking about a parent survey they did last year. That shit don't matter today. You're talking about last year before we was in the purple. Things are different now. And the responses from parents will be different now that we're in purple. So to even bring that up to me is it seems like it doesn't really make any sense. It ain't relevant. The survey they did last year is not relevant to right now, because right now we're in the purple. Right now we've got the highest infection rates ever. Right now, the vaccine is knocking on the door to come out. So it's going to change people's opinion about it. And I do know that CPS is doing something called POSIP. And POSIP, they can do this. They just send it straight to your phone. You can do it via text message. That's very easy. That's easy to do. Why wasn't this done? And the only thing I can conclude you can't tell me you didn't think about it. The only thing I can come up with is that they didn't want to do it. They did not want to hear what parents had to say. That's the only thing I can come up with, family. If you're just tuning in thinking, Nate, this is Facebook, this is YouTube, where's the video, bruh? You know what I'm saying? I like the background. Hey, listen, I appreciate you, but, my cam died on me. It's all on me. I can't blame no gremlins. It's on me, 100%. But I'm charging up right now, and we'll put it back up here in a little bit. We're scheduled to get a call from school board president Carolyn Jones at 9. I know that she was on the stream yesterday, and she referenced that she would be on the show this morning. So hopefully we'll get up on the Zoom and we'll have that conversation, and we can still communicate. She can still hear me, and we can still talk while she is on the cam, okay? And she's the guest. It's much more important for you to see her than me anyway. All right, you can hear my voice at any point. So again, we can go back and forth. Now, let me talk about the other side here, because, you know, as I've listened to my own show, I feel like I want to speak to that other side as well. So what is the other side? The other side is you got parents out there that are not equipped to educate their children. They're just not what they do. I saw a video of a parent, it was a stream, a parent live streamed, that was video during the board meeting on the last board meeting. And she said, basically, you know, I wasn't, and I thought it was passing a buck, but she was like, I'm not an educator. I don't know how to do this. And I thought to myself, well, I don't get that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, am I an educator? No, I'm not an educator. The wifey is. She is an educator. But do I have a youth development background? Yes. Do I think that I can help my son? Yeah, absolutely. My daughter, some of her work is a little over my head, I'll be honest with you, especially on the math part. But yeah, I can't help her, but she's self-contained. She's doing her own thing, and still academically doing even better, quite honestly. She's doing better than she was when she was in school, because from her own opinion, it's because there's less of a distraction. She don't have to worry about what she's going to wear in the morning. She don't have to wake up every morning and rush out. She's got more time to finish her work, and she's not caught up with what's happening in the classroom, as he said, she said. She's not worried about some interactions with the teacher, right? None of that. So that's something that I think the CPS could consider, you know, in the future. But anyway, so again, like I said, it's just a lot of question marks. I don't have any answers. I have a whole bunch of questions. If I had to grade the responses of the school board members we have so far, I would give Pam Bowers a D-. I would give her a D. I would give her a D-. I would give Ryan Messer, I'd give him a D+. And I give him a plus because he spent more time with us and was willing to answer every question. I give Pam Bowers a D- because her responses were on the same level as Ryan, actually just a little bit lower than that. I was talking with somebody last night who watched her interview here on the show, and it was like, sis was basically like, I did what I did, I said what I said. And I'm thinking, if you would have told us that, Pam, when you was running for office, we wouldn't have voted for your ass. We ain't voting for you to tell us during a crisis, I said what I said, it is what it is. You didn't tell us that when you was running for election. I wish you had. So if the energy you take when you running for the campaign, I want to see that same energy when the heat gets turned up. You feel me? I want to see the same energy. I said what I said. This is what my decision. Okay. We gonna file this away. So we know how you react during a crisis. Now, again, to be fair to Pam, she was willing to come on. And I don't know, maybe she had other things going on that morning. Maybe so. She said she would come back. I'm going to hold her to that. I'll reach back out again and give her more time. Mike Morosky shared this with us. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not trying to say I think Mike Morosky is like, the best CBS board member ever. But in this instance, I appreciate the fact that he was willing to say, hey, let's pump the brakes for 28 days. That goes a long way. And everything I'm hearing from parents and teachers is, at the very least, they're asking for 28 days. Oh, Carolyn saying that? Oh, okay. Give me 1 second here. Okay, I'm being told that Carolyn says that she's trying to call into the show this morning. I thought she was going to Zoom in. All right, hold on 1 second, Carolyn. I think Carolyn's trying to call in here. It is 9:01. I think she's trying to call in. I sent you the Zoom link, Carolyn, if you are listening. Appreciate it, wifey. Hold on, let me make sure she can call into the show. Hold on 1 second, Carolyn. Yeah. I'm looking forward to this. Let's get to the choppers. Let's get to the meat and potatoes. Okay, here it is. All right. Carolyn, if you're listening, please give us a call and right now, and it should be clear on the lines for you to call straight into the show with no issues. There it is. All right, 513-873. Let me throw that number up on the screen. I want to make sure that if you want to call in, because even though my cam is not up right now, you can still call into the show, and everybody will hear you. Just give me a moment. We'll get to it in a second. So, yes, Carolyn, let me throw the number again. Hold on one second here. I want to reach out to Carolyn. All right. So, Carolyn, if you can call us back, I'll put you straight on. I think she's calling. I thought she was going to Zoom in, so that kind of threw me off a little bit. Okay. Oh, we getting a call. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. I was getting nervous because I thought I had the right number, but I couldn't get in after a few attempts. So thank you.
It's all good, Carolyn. I sent you the Zoom. I thought we might do a Zoom this morning. Are you not available for a Zoom?
I can.
Okay. I sent the link to you on Facebook.
On Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, give me a minute, okay? And I'll get it set up and enter. I'll get in.
Okay, thank you.
You sent it on Facebook?
I sent it to you on Facebook via direct message. Yes.
Oh, direct message. Got it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
I'll work on it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we got time. What's today? Thursday. We got midday juice, but that's not until 1. So we got plenty of time. We can push the show back. We got a little bit of a late start, so we can push the show back to as much time as we need to get it in. So more than likely this morning, we may go to like 10:30, something like that. So Carolyn Jones is going to call us back. You heard her there, right there. I appreciate it. Again, these folks don't have to come on the show, so I appreciate it. 100%. Just know that. I really do. And so does the community, because we need to hear from you. We need to hear from you in terms of what's going on. So while Carolyn is doing that, that gives us a few more minutes for us to sort of get our thoughts together. That gives me a few minutes for us to, for you to share today's show. I want as many people to hear this show as possible as we talk about what is a life and death situation. It's life and death. For me, what's fueling me is my general concern about the public and my general concern about public health, my general concern about the staff, the students, my child, all of the students as well, the custodians, the administrators, all the people that work inside of a school building. I'm concerned about you, not just my child. And I'm concerned about the general public's health, because if we don't take this serious and beat this thing, then we're never going to get back to anything that looks like so-called normal. Okay. To me, the longer that we don't take this seriously, then we drag this thing out and it just becomes a problem. So I see Carolyn is backstage. Hey, Carolyn, just wave if you can hear me. Okay. I think we got Carolyn. Can you hear me, Carolyn? I think so. I think we're good. So let me go ahead and put Carolyn on the screen here. Hey, good morning, Carolyn. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Can you hear me and see me okay?
I can hear you and see you. And usually I'm on the cam myself, but my cam died on me this morning. But in this business, the show goes on. So at least you can hear me. And really, you're the guest. People want to see and hear you more than anything else. But how are you this morning?
I'm doing pretty good.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
I have to admit, Nathan, I'm a little anxious. But,
okay.
That's all part of the job. So
It is. Again, I appreciate your time. So let's jump straight into it. I want to get your thoughts in terms of your decision to return CPS to the blended model. And I want to start this way. As I do know you were on Iris's community stream last night with the superintendent a little bit. And so I just want to get straight to it. I know Mike Morosky also put in a motion, I think that was on the 20th, and it was voted down 6-1. He was the only person to vote for it. So for the parents out there that are concerned, for the staff that's concerned, can you explain to us your decision to not just return to virtual at a time in which Hamilton County is in the purple, but then voting against Mike Morosky's motion that would have, and correct me if I'm wrong, would have delayed the opening of the schools from February 1st to March 1st?
Okay. You just compounded a lot of questions into one. So if it's okay, I'll just kind of start from what I think is the beginning and explain kind of what my thinking was about it. Okay. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
All right.
Sure.
Okay. So first of all, I have to say that the vote of it's actually 1-6, 1 in favor and 6 dissented. Okay, so that's just a point of clarification. And for me personally, I didn't vote against Mike. I voted what I wanted. I voted for what I believe to be the best decision for this time. Okay. The way that the democracy works, people can express their opinions, and Mike certainly expressed his. He expressed it well. So the decision to return to blended had been part of the board's discussion for quite some time. For the entire year, I would say, Nathan, we have always talked about making sure that we're providing the best option, the best educational option possible for our students, recognizing that amidst this pandemic, that we were going to have to pivot and we were going to have to make changes and we were going to constantly have to pay attention to the measures, the community trends and all of that. So having said that, and to your point about making the decision while we're in purple, I will say that the plan to return to blended actually was made prior to, I want to say my best guess, and I'm not good with time frames, I need to have it written down, but I would say early, like back in the fall. The board had many discussions publicly about wanting to return to school. So that's always been on the table of discussion. The plan, the timeline that has been publicized that the superintendent developed was made prior to the, I believe it was in December, because I know we had a meeting in December where we talked about it. And at that meeting, we talked about needing to have more information and making sure that we understood the implications of returning and blended and that kind of thing. And I believe that it was Vice President Messer who suggested that the superintendent present the timeline. That's correct, to present the timeline at the January 16th board work session, which is what she did, which was a Saturday. Now, what factored into that with serious implications, and we're experiencing that right now, is the fact that the community went into the purple level 2 days before that meeting. Okay, 2 days. And would I say, in all honesty, that I think it complicated things? It absolutely did complicate things. It absolutely did, no doubt about it. The other factor that I think has played into this decision and has received lots of questions and scrutiny and what have you is the fact about the vaccine and the rollout plan. So having said that, and I know your audience probably has lots of questions, I'm just trying to give you the context and we can go through the details as much as you want. But so on that particular Saturday, the board made a decision to return on February 1st, given that we knew at that time that the governor, that we were working with the governor to try to get the vaccine. Lo and behold, the vaccine came to us early. So now we have a vaccination rollout plan in conjunction with the plan to open. I also want to say, before we get into the full discussion of this, is that I checked yesterday, and I'm referring to my notes because I don't want to misquote anybody, but We do know that while we're still not out of purple, that the numbers have gone down. And we are anticipating, at least this is what I'm hearing, we are anticipating that the number will go down. Hopefully, it will go down to a level where people are much more comfortable. So, is this controversial? Yes. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, of course, because the community outcry has been pretty strong about that. But I want to make sure that the audience understands that the board, the district, we have always said since March 13th, when we first closed, that we needed to have a great deal of flexibility and agility in making changes and pivoting, in making sure that we're looking at the situation as it is. So recognizing that when we closed in March, we knew nothing, relatively nothing about the virus, other than the fact that it was spreading significantly, that we didn't have, at that time, there were no health data points to look at or review. We didn't know how it was impacting us in the schools and whatever. We made the call to close. Now, I will say, and I'm just trying to set the context and then I'll be quiet. This has been a polarizing issue in our community since day one. So what do I mean by that? Well, people are on different sides of the spectrum. Then you have the board who, yes, is accountable to the community. So when we closed on March 13th, we got all kind of flack from people. I can't tell you the hundreds and hundreds of emails that we got from our community, people who were saying, who didn't agree with our decision. We want our kids in school. We don't know what's going on, and all this. So for the board, this has been ongoing. This has been ongoing for us. So can I say that it's been hard and it's been stressful on the board members? Yes, it has. And we are doing our best to try to make sure that we work toward our goal, which is our goal is to educate our community's children. That's our priority. Now, all that said, I'm going to be quiet because I know your audience has questions.
Yeah, they do, and we'll definitely get to them. So, and I appreciate that. So let's talk about some current events, some things that are happening right now. So people in the stream are saying that they receive some schools receive notifications, Kilgore, Fairview, saying that they would have an in-school virtual option. Is that true? Are you aware of that? Have you heard about that?
I am aware of it. I can't say that I have full details on it. I have had some conversation with the superintendent about it. I first have to say, and I know that there's a question about, is this equitable? Let me just make a point about thinking about equity. This district values equity, and we have worked hard to achieve goals around equity, making sure that our students have what they need. And we were making great strides, no doubt. We were making great strides. Pandemic hit. And many people who have heard me speak in public have heard me say, if you think the equity issue was bad, it's 10 times worse. So yeah, our goal is always to achieve equity. But, in the middle of the pandemic, it's been hard because nobody expected this. Nobody expected this circumstance. So in fact, and this is my thinking about it, what defines true equity? In my opinion, getting a good education and trying to minimize learning loss is a major goal and a major accomplishment if we can get that done. So now let me talk about this situation. One of the things that we've done the entire time throughout this pandemic is really work hard to respect and honor the requests of the public, to hear what people are saying in the thousands of emails and letters and all that we get, to listen to what they're saying in terms of what they want. And we've gathered information from all kinds of sources, okay, including forums, phone calls, all of that. And people were very clear that, we wanted options, okay? So we made an attempt, and I believe, you referenced something about Ryan mentioning the pilot. The pilot, as I remember, was an attempt back in early fall to provide a remote option for district-wide for those kids who wanted to be virtual. And we asked our district's IT person to give us a presentation on what that would look like, okay? And he did. And he said to us that our system could not bear on our infrastructure the load of having everybody on the remote plan or the remote option at the same time. And that in fact, it would crash. And the reality of it is, for our listeners, is the system has crashed several times because it can't take the load. So the infrastructure, as he said, couldn't support full extension of that option. And what he said is, yeah, well, it's something that, of course, it is of value, and it would certainly be an equalizer in terms of equity. But right now, at this moment in time, it would cost millions of dollars and years to create an infrastructure or improve our infrastructure so that this would work. Now, I said that at other times, in other settings, in different audiences. So people say, well, why are other schools able to do it? Okay, in other districts. And I think the one thing that our listeners fully understand, and I'm going to share this with you, CPS is uniquely different than any other surrounding district. We are not different than some of the larger urban areas, right? And I've talked to some of my colleagues about what they're doing in their district, and I know the superintendent has done as well with the superintendent. But we're uniquely situated in this area because most of the surrounding districts have a very narrow geographic area, and their population is pretty much similar. Okay, some diversity, but pretty similar.
Hey, Carolyn.
Yes.
Yeah, I hate to cut you off, but I can hear me in your stream. You might want to turn me down just a little bit. I hate to cut you off, but I feel like we're straying away from the premise of my question. So I want to get focused back on that. The premise of the question was that I'm hearing this morning that there are some schools in which there's going to be a virtual option in which they can stay at their school. And you're saying that is true?
Let me answer the question then more directly. Okay, there is no district-wide remote learning plan. The options at this moment are in person or CBA. So there is no district-wide remote learning plan. Now, what I've heard is, and I'm sure this is going to come up in our next board meeting, I'm certain of it. So we probably will have another discussion about it. But what I heard was that some schools were being told by administration that they could move forward with the remote learning plan. And my understanding about that is that there may be some schools that are in a situation where that option has worked. Maybe their system didn't crash or whatever. And there might be other schools where for some reason they can't support it. But the point of that is we want schools to be able to try to figure out as an independent school as what is the best option to connect with your family. And if they try to connect with families remotely and it works and the system doesn't crash, that's okay. But it's not been sanctioned as a plan. It's not like there was a communication from Laura Mitchell that came out and said these schools are doing it and these schools are not.
Okay.
So I hope that answered the question a little more directly.
Let me put a finer point on it. So it sounds like that that is true. What I'm being told this morning, that there are some schools, Fairview, Kilgore, in which those students and parents will be able to enjoy a virtual option while their students remain at the school.
No, what I'm saying is that there is no district-wide remote learning plan.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. But I'm trying to say, what I'm saying is it's not equitable. It seems like it's more, it seems to me, just to whittle all down, it seems to me like this decision to move away from virtual is causing more problems, is going to hurt learning, and then jeopardize lives more than just staying remote, at least for another month. And so now you're going to have parents who are going to be looking like, okay, so why is it that Fairview and Kilgore and their students are allowed to have an in-school virtual option, whether it's sanctioned by the district or not? I mean, that's how parents are going to look at it. And that's not equitable.
Okay. Well, I don't know the specific schools. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I don't know. I have no idea which schools are saying that or planning that or anything. What I can say to you is that, as an individual, and I'm just saying this as one board member, I want schools to try to figure out what works for them. If that is an option, I would be okay with that. Okay, if there is an option, and I mean all schools, but I think that again, different things work for different schools, and whatever the best option is for that school, I would say go for it. But again, I think that this conversation is probably going to be raised at the board meeting, and I would much prefer to just say let us have a discussion about it. I mean, right. we cannot afford, we're not in a situation right now, nor have the luxury of sort of embattling the community any further than has happened already. That's not what we want. We want a very clear communication about where we stand, what the position is, what we can do, what we can't do. Yeah, okay. So, and having said that, yeah,
that's what the parents want. I'm a CPS parent, just so you know. I have a daughter who attends Walnut Hills, right? And then so she's a sophomore, and I have a son that's at Fairview, ironically, and he's just starting his academic career with CPS. So I'm on both ends of the spectrum. So to your point about wanting and desiring a clear communication, then why hasn't the board delivered that? From the jump, it's been back and forth. Part of the reason why people like me are so outraged is because if you go back to last year, there was a presentation done by the administration that the board signed off on, saying, hey, these are the things, the factors that we're looking at when we determine as to whether we're going to go back to school. And then it appears that as we get here to 2021, that you throw that data out the window, and now it's like, at all costs, we want to go back to school. So my question is, why not go back on March 1st? Why such a rush to push to start next week? And what's, in your opinion, what's to be lost and what's to be gained by starting in March 1st? When by all accounts, logically speaking, it seems to be the safer option for the teachers who are very upset, for the staff who are very upset, and for the parents.
Okay. So which question do you want me to start with, Nathan? You asked a question. You asked a question about communication and sort of the flow.
I mean, so my question is, well, that's more of a statement. The question is, why did you vote against the motion that was put up by Mike Morosky to delay the start of school to March 1st? And why do you believe it's safe to start on February 1st?
Okay. So me personally, and I think that I can't speak for the way that other board members think. I can only tell you how I looked at this. When I looked at this, for me, the importance of getting kids back in the classroom in this last part of the school year would benefit them not only from a standpoint of um, their educational learning so that we can minimize the learning loss in some respect. It is so important and so valuable for kids to have that physical contact with their teachers and their classmates. So that is important. So I was looking at it from the point of the whole child. Now, I was one of those people who was back some months ago totally against bringing kids in for lots of reasons. But here's the difference for me. The difference is I know a lot more. So when you say, well, why did we go against the purple level? Again, I'm going to say, I'm not happy about it being in the purple level. And believe me, I'm going to be the first one to ask, ask, or follow up to see where we are in the purple level. I'm not happy about that. But I also recognize that there can be a balance in working toward getting kids back in school. Now, so I know a little more today than I did before. And here's what I know that helped me with this. In reading the new guidelines from CDC and reading the, newsletters and things that I get from the Ohio Department of Education around this virus and the spread. And to be honest with you, in preparation for this call, I was watching Dr. Fauci on TV, and they asked of him a very specific question. And that question had to do with, well, are schools safe? And Dr. Fauci said that that the research is showing that schools have much more of a minimal risk of contracting the virus as opposed to when they're in the community. And that's certainly the data and the information that we have been given recently.
But Carolyn,
yes.
Carolyn, that's a false equivalency. That's a false equivalency. The real question is it safer in terms of contracting COVID between staying at home and going into school?
And it's not cross equivalency. I'm very direct about that. I'm very direct about what I'm saying. That's not what and I've listened to your shows and I've heard you say that. And in preparation, I researched it and I kept looking. I'm looking at all of these sources. I'm listening to the researcher. I'm listening to Dr. Fauci. And basically the data, the information, the research is saying the same thing. Now, in the parents' mind, no, let me finish. You asked me the question, but in the minds of the parents, I probably would have the same concerns. People are afraid, and I understand that. But the research is saying that schools are safe as long as we balance with the safety protocols and continue to do those things which keep people safe and minimize the risk. Then yes, the added thing that we have, Nathan, in the schools is that we have the ability, we have medical professionals in all of the buildings, and we have rapid testing. So I mean,
Carolyn,
that's what I'm saying.
Carolyn, that's a false equivalency. There is no research out there that suggests or concludes that it's safer for kids to go to school than to stay at home. There's no research out there that says that.
You said there's no research that says they're safer. What I'm saying to you, and I have stuff right in front of me right here, where it's saying that there is minimal risk for kids in the schools because schools have been forced literally to implement safety measures, practices, and protocols that are monitored, whereas in the community, they can't. So the way that the virus spreads in the community, where if kids and families are out and about, there's no monitoring and no way to track if in fact they're contracting it. So I don't
that doesn't hold up though, Carolyn. I mean, it doesn't hold up on two levels. On one level is the option isn't for the kids. We're not talking about an option between kids going to school and being in the community. We're talking about the option between children going to school and staying at home. That's two different things. And then secondly, if the schools were so safe, then why did the school CPS have to return to virtual last year when you tried this? The reason you had to do that is because of a staffing issue, and the staffing issue was related to COVID.
Well, I don't know if the staffing issue was related to COVID. The staffing issue was related to the fact that whatever medical reason, we don't know. When staff take off, we don't know what the reason is. We don't ask what the reason is unless they have COVID. You see, or are working or staying at home with families. I mean, we don't ask them what the reason is they're off. But there were staffing implications, but I can't directly correlate that to the virus. I mean,
we all can. Everybody else can.
Well,
so let me make sure I understand where you're coming from.
Okay.
So let me make sure I understand. So you're telling me, as a parent, that you think it's safer for my child to go to public school than it is for my child to stay in my home where I'm isolated from COVID. Is that what you're telling us?
I'm telling you as a parent that's your choice. That's what I'm telling you. And
I didn't ask you whether it was a choice.
I'm telling you that if you're the parent, you can make that choice. There are families out there that want to send their kids to school.
Yeah, that's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you where is the safest place for our children to be? The safest place for our children is at home, isolated. That's why it's COVID-19 right now. So let's make sure we put this on the table, Carolyn. From what I've heard, everybody agrees that we want our kids to go to school. I want my children to be in school every day. That's the best place for them. That's the best place for me, for them to be. Okay. For my son and my daughter. The reason why we're not doing that is because of COVID. It's not safe right now, right? The reason why you guys went to virtual is because of COVID. The reason why you putting all these safety measures in place is because of COVID. So the question is, what's the safest thing and the safest place for our children to be? Okay. And by all accounts, that's isolated at home. Okay. So, Nathan, okay. So for the sake of this, let me just say, what you're saying, if people choose to keep their kids home, which they have a right to do, they believe it's the safest place, it is the safest place. I'm only telling you the way I saw it through my lens in terms of making the decision, which is what you asked me. So let me tell you what. So learning loss is one thing. And again, I'm going to say this very directly and strongly. There are just as many parents and families who are ready to send their kids to school, and they are across all economic levels, okay? So they want to send their kids to school. But here's the other piece of it. Our schools, as my brother Ozzie Davis always says, the schoolhouse is the cornerstone of the community. The multiple services and things that our kids are able to get while they're in school. Our kids are coming to school not only for the academic learning, they're coming to school because they have other supports there, and for the social and emotional aspects of it. So there are many reasons why people want to come back to school. And I don't want to disagree. I don't think we're talking apples and oranges here. I think it is a matter of choice. I think it is. And I support that people want to be able to keep their kids at home. And I wouldn't be upset if you kept your kids at home. Well, let's talk about that. Well, first, let me ask you this. So there was a school board meeting that was set for Saturday and it was canceled. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Who canceled it and why?
Well, I canceled it because, and this was, well, first of all, let me say the meeting was a special board meeting that was going to be an extension of a discussion that happened at the work session that had nothing to do with the return to school. It had to do with visioning CPS. So, in our board work session on that Saturday, one of our board matters topic was for us to begin to focus on and look to the next year, to start planning for next year, trying to align resources and what have you. So the meeting on Saturday was only for that purpose. So it was going to be noticed as a special board meeting. So there was no plan to have this ongoing discussion.
And it was
not saying it wouldn't happen, but I'm just saying it wasn't being noticed that way.
Oh, it was definitely going to come up. You know, we were trying to press Ryan Messer to, you know, lift his voice, because when we spoke to him, he said he has some more concerns, which I want to get with. So it seems like there's a discrepancy here, and I just don't understand it, between where is the safest place for a human being to be. For me, I think logically, and all of the science says, that's isolated at home. No, outside of sending my child to the school is going to be a less safe option in terms of COVID, because we're talking about COVID. Than my child staying at home, and I don't think anybody would disagree with that. So I'm not why you can't admit that.
I'm not disagreeing with that. And that's certainly
that's great for our conversation. So let's start right there. So we both agree that staying home is a safer option. So that gets me back to, why not vote and push for a start for March 1st? And I hear what you're saying about the learning piece, but let's talk about that. Because parents are concerned that they're going to actually lose instructional time, even though it might be virtual, with their primary teacher because it's planned. So instruction time with the primary teacher is going to be less than what it is in virtual. And I'm trying to understand, how is less instruction time, even if it's virtual with a primary teacher, better for a student in terms of academics?
Okay, well, if it's less time actually in terms of what, the way I'm understanding what you're saying, the fact that they're physically going to be in the building actually gives them less time. I'm saying it's not the amount of time, it's the quality of the curriculum. And so if the teachers, and we have great teachers, and teachers are being creative, teachers are providing different ways based on what they feel like their kids need. So I don't feel like it's kids sitting at home doing nothing, wasting 2 days. I don't feel that way. I feel like that teachers, and our teachers have also adapted. And so I think that there's the opportunity to really enhance learning, and work with the kids. They may work differently. So, I don't necessarily, I disagree that it's going to decrease the learning, for that. I just disagree. I think hopefully it will improve the quality of the learning.
So having less time with a teacher is going to improve the quality of the learning.
What I'm saying is, I'm not talking about the less time. What I'm talking about has nothing to do with the amount of hours they spend in the classroom seat. What I'm saying is, there in this time period, I think we agree that there has to be some adaptability to the circumstance. So yes, the kid is not going to be in front of the teacher, even on remote every day. And guess what? That doesn't happen right now, even in virtual. Okay? That doesn't happen right now. We have many kids that turn on the virtual, that turn the computer on, but may not engage. But teachers are really trying. I mean, I give them credit for that. I hear about it all the time, that they're really engaging. It's just a way to adapt. And I think that that's important. No, we're not talking about taking away opportunities for kids to learn. We're not. But there are other reasons why it is important for them to be in front of the teacher. That's all I'm saying.
I hear you. But I mean, across the board, again, just dealing with the facts, many students are going to get less instructional time with their teacher with this new hybrid plan. What do you say to teachers, Carolyn? There's a video right now with about 4,000 views, and it's basically a collage of teachers and parents saying that they feel like their lives are going to be in jeopardy and that they don't want to go back into the classroom before they get vaccinated. Yet another reason to start on March 1st. What do you say to these brave men and women who are actually going to be in the classroom? And in some of the classes, they might be dealing with students that are mask exempt. So they're going to be face to face. What do you say to these men and women whose lives are literally going to be on the line?
Well, Nathan, I mean, I'm here on your show, and I'm also reading the comments. And so the questions that you're asking me, to be honest, I feel like you're baiting me for an answer that catch me in a pickle. And that's okay. But the best thing that I can tell you is, and looking at your comments on the page, is that I have great appreciation for teachers. Okay. I have great appreciation for them. This has been hard on them. But I'm going to tell you, in fact, that this whole issue about how we address COVID in the schools has always been and continues to be a polarizing issue. And that's exactly where it is right now in terms of how our teachers feel about it and how the community feels about it and how the board feels about it. You know, there is no right answer. I have great respect for teachers. I have a daughter who's a teacher. Okay, I have great respect for them. But here's the bottom line for that. And I need to back up and say this district with the superintendent have worked very hard to make sure that our staff have jobs. And I take that very seriously. We could have slashed the budget last year when we were faced with this. You know, and I understand what they're feeling. You know, but at some point, and whether this point is now or later or whatever, they are still the front line, and we're trying to make them as safe and as we possibly can. There is no guarantee from anybody. COVID's going to be around for a while. And the best that we can do, and we've learned how to do that well, is to take care of ourselves, take care of our families, and practice the safety measures to minimize the risk. And CPS has done that well. And that is one of the reasons why we were able to get the vaccine. CPS's plan in terms of its safety protocols and all that was tight. And we are showing, as large as we are showing low numbers in comparison to a lot of the other schools. So yeah, the answer to your question about teachers, I respect teachers. And I want the best for them. I also want them to have jobs, you know, and I appreciate the concern, and willing to, you know, always willing to listen, even though they don't think so, but we listen, we hear them.
Well, I've talked with, I know you've gotten it directly from a lot of teachers, that a couple things are going on. I mean, one number, teachers feel like their voice is suppressed. They feel as if the administration will come down on them if they go on social media or go on shows like this and speak their honest truth. So that's something right there. And then
can I speak to that?
Yeah, you can. Go ahead.
Okay. So first and foremost, we are obligated, this board, whether we want to hear people or not, that is our job, to hear what the community is saying. And every single person on this board takes that seriously, sometimes to the detriment, because I don't like news media, you know, and I'm always saying we need to see that the district needs to put step in front of the media and get the narrative out, make sure the information is correct, you know, but we have board members that love media, you know, and they can do that. Now, in terms of the community and the voice, I can tell you that, and you made this statement earlier about communication, how poor it has been. The district has acknowledged throughout this pandemic that communication has been an issue. But I think when you think about the pace of everything that has happened this year, it doesn't surprise me that communication has been an issue, because we were trying to stay on top of the issue. So in terms of the voice, when you say that people feel their voice is suppressed. Teachers. Okay. So the board operates through a set of guidelines, which is established by Ohio Revised Code. And in Ohio Revised Code, it says that at our board meetings, we are required to have a hearing of the public. And it defines what that means and says what has to happen. Okay, there has never been a situation where we have denied anyone, whether it's a teacher, parent. We have let people who don't even live in the city of Cincinnati talk. Okay, so we've never denied anybody. Okay. But the Ohio Revised Code also says that the board has the ability to kind of shape what that hearing looks like. The board meetings are not legally community forums, okay? Which means we have to focus on the agenda of the day. So when we include public hearing, it is to offer the opportunity for the public to speak. Now, teachers, it's written in the board bylaws very clearly, and I think teachers know that. We have guidelines about what board to staff communication should look like. We have guidelines for that. Okay. I could go strictly by those guidelines and deny teachers an opportunity to speak. I could. If we operated in that way, I could do that. We've never done that. Never. So teachers are welcome to come. Now, we have to put a time limit on it because I've heard this. I've heard people say, well, they cut you off and they do this. If you get 200 people who want to speak and you give them 3 minutes each, we never get to the business of the board.
Right.
So you have to put some time constraints on it. It also says in the bylaws that the expectation is around professional and courteous behavior. Right now, people are angry, but as an institution of learning, I refuse as the presiding officer to allow people, and I don't care whether they're teachers, parents, kids, whoever, to be discourteous in a public setting where our kids are listening in. I refuse to do that. So if people feel like that I cut them off for legitimate reasons, but those reasons are well within our authority under Ohio Revised Code.
I get it. Gabriel writes, to me, this is a decision that does not support all families. CDA does not provide an option for preschool families. So either the preschool students have to go 4 days a week or they get nothing. Are they not worth an education too?
Absolutely. Because we believe that preschool is sort of the indicator for what's going to happen in kindergarten. But guess what? The rules about preschool are determined at the state, not by the district. Okay.
Well, hold on, Carolyn. Hold on. So as of right now, and we're in virtual, what is the option for preschoolers? Are they getting full instruction like all the other students in CPS?
Well, the preschool, they're part of, if you mean, are they part of the phase-in plan? Yes.
No, what I'm saying is, what's the difference? So right now,
CDA was never the option for preschoolers. And I'm not the expert in the curriculum, but I believe the way the curriculum is designed, it wasn't designed around the needs of the preschool student.
No, what I'm asking is as of this week, if I have a preschooler in CPS, is my preschooler getting virtual learning?
No. Oh, yeah, they are right now.
Right.
And then next week, on February 2nd, they go back into the classroom.
And so there becomes the rub again. So here we have another example where going back to virtual is actually going to be less equitable and put people at risk. So if I'm a parent of a preschooler right now through virtual, my child is getting instruction virtually. If I'm a parent of a preschooler next week, I got to brave COVID for my kid to get instruction. How is that the right decision?
Well, I just said that. I said the guidelines around that are determined by the state. The curriculum for preschool is determined by the state. What we're doing is offering the option right now because it is virtual. But when we go back to school, and preschoolers will go back, and that's the decision that we are making as a district. But the rules around instruction and all of that, if I'm understanding your question, we're governed by the state around that. And maybe I'm misunderstanding. I don't know if I'm missing something.
No, what I really don't understand, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, I'm really searching for understanding. What I don't understand is that, in my humble opinion, for everything I've looked at as a CPS parent, waiting at least until March 1st is a safer and a better decision across the board. It's a safer and better decision for the teachers. Somebody just tweeted that the CFT, They put out a survey to teachers, and that 78% of teachers say they want to start on March 1st. That's a vast majority of the teachers. The parents, even in terms of instructional learning time, by all indicators, it appears that March 1st, if not later, would be a smarter option, a healthier option, and a safer option. But you didn't do that. And I don't understand why.
All right. So again, Nathan, as with all due respect, you're baiting me. But let me respond to that. Okay?
Carolyn, I'm not baiting you. I'm asking you straight up. Why did you decide to make this decision?
Okay, so here's the deal. The timeline for when it would happen, okay? Because I think what you see and what the community sees is you're connecting legitimately, and I understand, but you're connecting the fact that the vaccine rollout doesn't align, and you're connecting the fact that we're in purple. The plan for the blended learning return occurred actually before that. So your question is, why can't we postpone it and put it off, right, to March 1st? And here's my response. But again, I'm going to say to you that I'm almost 100% sure that is going to come up in discussion next week. You know, the superintendent gives us an update at every single board member. She gives us an update on safety planning in some respect. I'm almost 100% sure that it's going to come up. But here's the deal. So if we wait until March 1st for the rollout, and this is Carolyn Jones speaking her opinion, we wait till March 1st with the phase in. Number one, we're backed up against spring break happening during that month, which is another gap in time where kids won't be getting any kind of education. You know, they'll be on spring break. That's one thing. And it pushes back, so in April, so then you only have April or May. Secondly, for our seniors especially, there's a need to help prepare for graduation. And I strongly believe that bringing kids back into the school will help some of the kids in the upper grades to start preparing for graduation. Okay, so it really is an issue of timing. You know, my opinion is it doesn't make any difference whether you start February 2nd or March 1st. We're trying to get as much in-person classroom time as we can before the end of the year, because I want kids to come back to school ready to learn, hopefully in an improved environment where we can do more, where we have time to plan and do more, where we have time to make CDA a better option, if in fact that's what we have. That, you know, so the dates are fairly, in my opinion, fairly arbitrary.
So I want to make sure I understand what you just said, Carolyn. So in your opinion, you don't believe it makes a difference if the teachers and the staff get vaccinated for COVID before they get exposed potentially to COVID?
Okay. Let me ask you this. Let me respond this way. And don't take this as a slam or anything. I'm just speaking my mind, right? Frontline workers, teachers are frontline workers, right? Teachers are frontline workers. Hospital workers are frontline workers. Did they get the option to stay at home? Frontline workers, healthcare, and CDC, ODE, government, whoever you want, have identified teachers as frontline workers. The sad part about it is that they didn't give education the priority it needed when coronavirus first started. We've done a lot. I think the district has done a lot to try to support teachers, even though I know they don't believe that. Does it all work? Does it all fit together? No. Is there a best answer? No. It's the best that we have. I respect teachers. They are frontline workers, as are all of our staff. Frontline workers, from the teacher to the custodian. And we value them. We need them. We want to support them. I know that the superintendent and her team are thinking through options for what happens if teachers don't want to take the virus. We want to be respectful of those who have good reasons why they don't want to take it. I don't know if I have a better answer for that, other than what you want to hear, which is we're going to delay. Now, that question may come up. I just don't know. I can't predict that. But I'm just trying to be open and honest with you about where things stand right now.
Okay,
And,
again, I want to make sure.
the issue about returning after the vaccine, I am aware it's a political. This is me talking. So people, if you get mad, if you don't like what I'm about to say, you can call me, okay? But the issue is that's the national platform of CFT. And that's what they're supposed to do. I'm not angry about that. That's what they're supposed to do. It's a national platform. But each school, this decision is a locally based decision. And so we have to think through, well, what is the best? So, that's pretty much all I can say about that.
Yeah, I mean, again, I appreciate your honesty and giving us your opinion. For me, in terms of the answer, I don't see teachers. Teachers are frontline workers because of the nature of their work. I just feel like that's a bad example. And then, you're comparing what a teacher does to medical professionals. I don't think that's fair to the teachers in this context. And then secondly, you're not over
they don't
medical
do the work.
professionals.
They are considered frontline.
Yeah,
they are considered frontline. They don't do the same work as hospital work.
They're considered frontline in this
context,
context, Carolyn, because of the nature of how this disease is spread. Because of the nature of how this disease is spread, it forces them to be on the front line when they're dealing with, people who are coming in who are not going to be tested.
Yeah,
but again, you're not over medical professionals. You have no purview over that. Your purview is over the teachers. And so again, in my mind, there's a big difference between March 1st and February 1st. And that difference is, at the very least, it would allow teachers to get both rounds of the vaccine. And so the other thing is that there's so much that we don't know about this vaccine. There's new variants coming from Brazil. California has a new variant. Even Dr. Fauci and all these super smart people on the national level will tell you that they're learning new things about the COVID virus every single day. There's a lot that we don't know about it. So we can't act like we got it all figured out. And by delaying just 1 month, you will allow these people, as you said, who are frontline workers, to be protected on the front line. My question is, why put them on the front line until they're protected? I mean, that's the least that we can do, is to make sure that they get their vaccines so they have some level of protection. And even with that, they can still spread the virus. They may not get sick from it, but they can still spread the virus. So I think there's a big difference between, 4 weeks in this context, and that is allowing people to get some level of security with a vaccine.
Well, in my opinion, not being the medical expert, is that I do feel like that we have a step in that direction. I mean, I don't think anybody is exempt from COVID, the risk. But I think we're doing what we can do at this time our vaccination rollout is starting a week earlier, so that gives us an additional week. So I hear you, Nathan, and I'm not disputing what you say. And I think in an ideal world, ideal situation, trying to figure out what the best way to do business here is. Has been a struggle for us. But we have made the best decisions given what we know. And that's as much as we can do.
So
I'm sorry, I'm getting sidetracked with some of your comments. And
you want to respond to any comments, go right ahead.
Okay. And it's one thing, and I'm saying this with a smile, but I am a human being. You invited me to the show. People can disagree with me all they want. They can disagree with me to my face. But when people comment about my physical appearance and all of that, I find that pretty dehumanizing. And no matter what you think of me, I'm doing the best that I can. And I would say to that, which I'm sure, because this issue has created such a division in our community, I'm sure there's going to be lots of retribution about it. Unfortunately, it's sad that we can't talk to each other and disagree. I disagree with you on many of these points, Nathan, but I respect what you do in your job because you're bringing the message to the people. But for people to call me names, that's offensive, and I'm offended by that. But anyway, having said that, I'll let it go.
Yeah, that's not my style, Carolyn. I would urge people to not get ad hominem and personal and keep it on the issues as well. But what I've learned is the nature of the internet. I have no control over it,
Which,
but I want to
yeah,
keep it
you don't,
focused on the
and
issue.
that's yeah, and I really had to shut off from Facebook. I got off of Facebook and social media. So you made a reference to a video that was out, and I was like, what video? Because I haven't seen it. I haven't seen any of that. But I will say, because it is 10, I have an appointment at 10:30. But I have to say to you, I respect the fact. The reason that I came on is because you have always treated me with respect. You ask tough questions. I appreciate that. And this board has to be accountable to the community. But accountability doesn't mean that you as an individual, not you personally, but you as an individual, get what you want. We have to balance everything. And so there are people who support what we do. There are people who don't support what we do. But in the end, it has to be about the kids. It has to be about the kids. And we may differ on opinions about the road to get there, but the goal is the same. So I don't disagree. And I respect people's rights to choose the option. I wish that we could offer the remote piece. And again, that's going to be a conversation that comes up. I wish we could.
Is there any possibility of that happening this school year?
We have to talk about that. I can't say for sure. I can't tell you, yes, it's going to happen. I'll say it's a topic of conversation and discussion, from the board. So we have to look at that. But I think, what I would hope is that the community hangs in there with us. And whether you agree with us or not, we got to get our kids and families through this. We want our parents back to work and all of that. And so I don't disagree totally with everything you put out there, Nathan. I just think it's how we approach it. And what we're trying to do is stewards of the community's dollars is really trying to make sure that our kids have the best education for this time as possible. But we're working toward next year's plan. It's already on the table of discussion. And we need the community support. We need the community support. And we are accountable to you.
And you got it.
Yeah.
You got it, Carolyn. But the issue is that, it seems as if the board is making a decision that's going to put people's lives at risk when you don't have to. I've heard nothing from you this morning that would suggest, other than just your personal opinion, that CPS can't start on March, which would give at least the teachers an opportunity to get vaccinated. And then it would also give you a chance to work on your plans for the CDA, which seems like they're up in the air. It seems like it's a loss all the way around. And think about what we're talking about here, Carolyn. We're talking about 8 instructional days. We're talking about 8 days in February. That's the only thing that's going to be gained is 8 days of in-person learning, which ups the level of potential infection and puts teachers at risk for 8 days, Carolyn. That's it.
Okay. I hear you. I think, one of the reasons why you're inviting individual board members is that you want to hear their individual opinions. I gave you my individual opinion. In terms of decision making, we have to discuss that as a board, which is why I'm not committing to that. I would, like I told you, I believe that in the conversation coming up at our next board meeting that will happen. So, I don't know what else to say. I do appreciate the opportunity to come on, even though based on the comments, it's pretty ugly out there. So.
But I want you to make sure you process it personally. People are scared. When human beings get scared, the fangs come out, the knives come out. People are afraid because they don't understand.
I am no demagogue. I don't claim to be separated from the people in my community. I have school-age children and grandchildren who go to Cincinnati Public. And I love them, just like you love your kids and everybody love their kids. I got elected to make hard decisions. For hard decisions, they are hard. I can't tell you how many sleepless nights I've had, but in the end, I have to make decisions on behalf of 36,000 kids and families and 6,000 staff. That is not easy. I'm just asking for grace. I'm asking for prayers. I'm asking for support. I want COVID to go away so we can get kids back. I don't want to argue about CDA. We know CDA is not the best option, but we're working on it. We can't fix it overnight.
Can you fix it in 4 weeks?
We can't fix the remote learning option overnight.
Yeah, but can you fix it? Can you be a little bit closer to a better option for CDA in 4 weeks? Let's say 4 weeks in February.
I don't know. I don't know if we can or not, and I can't promise you that. I can't. Which is why I'm saying that's one of the reasons why I'm saying we got to get some level of in-person learning. That contact with that teacher can do so much. And guess what? If this bombs out for whatever reason, you can come back, you can get me on the show and you can grill me and you can tell me to my face everything that went wrong. I'll accept that.
If you say this bombs out, meaning people get COVID and get sick and you got to go back to virtual?
No, that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. What I mean is about all of the supports and things like CDA and the remote option and all of that. Please don't say that I'm wishing COVID. I don't wish COVID on anybody. I don't wish that on anybody.
No, I was trying to understand what you were saying. You said if this bombs out. I'm like, what do you mean by if this bombs out?
Well, your question, what you said was that you made a statement about CDA or something to that effect. And I'm saying to you, that's the option that we have right now, and recognizing that it's not the perfect option. And so my comment was, yeah, you made some comment about can we fix CDA? And I'm saying, no, we can't, probably in the short time we have. We have what we have. We're going to continue to work to make sure that people at least get one of those options, which is in-person or CDA. We're going to continue to do that. But again, personally, I believe the in-person option is going to be best in terms of helping to address the emotional needs of our kids, to getting them a little bit of physical contact with people, with other people. And
they get physical contact now at home with their parents and their families. Carolyn, real quick, to Walnut Hill's parents.
Listen, you are a parent of a high schooler, so you're going to tell me that you're a high school student, and you, again, I'm not talking about you in terms of your choices. You're going to tell me that your high school student doesn't miss the interaction that she has with her peers at school.
If she wasn't in class, I'd have her come down here and tell you herself. So my high schooler obviously misses that. But at this point, she doesn't understand your decision to make her go back to Walnut Hills within 3 feet of space. So if you can bring her up, that's what she thinks. She's very upset about that.
I appreciate that. Because there are kids who have sent letters to say that they won't come back. I get that. I appreciate that.
So my high schooler, hold on, you brought her up. So my high schooler seems to understand what you and the board do not, that it's less safe. And she at this point is like, hey, we've been virtual all this time. Why don't we remain virtual until we get to a safer place? So that's what my high schooler has to say.
I got it. But see, what you're doing is trying to assume that I'm wrong and she's right. Okay.
You asked me what my high schooler thinks, and I just told you.
I know. I get that. And I'm not disputing her perception of that. Her perception. That's the reality for her. I'm saying,
I'm saying
to you that at this moment in time, that's what I think.
Right.
That's
but
all
I want you to know that since you brought her up, and it's going to go all the way there. Since we talking about Walnut Hills, I know you got to go. Do you think that 3 feet of distance, and that's what Walnut Hills students are going to have to deal with? Here we are in purple in Hamilton County. Do you think that's a safe distance?
Me personally, Okay. And I'll say this very honestly, me personally, I'm not speaking on behalf of the board. I have been reconsidering my position on that. Okay. Um, because of the 3 to 6 feet and just the way Walnut Hills is made. Walnut Hills is really a very separate issue from this, and we need to look at it a little bit differently. The goal, of course, and I think what the board has been talking about is that we want all kids back. But I really have been given a lot of thought about Walnut Hills and in thinking, you know, because one of the things that I've always said, and for me, is it's very important to get kids back 6 feet. And so I am sort of reconsidering my position on that.
Okay, so that begs the question, Carolyn, and I got to ask you.
And I
So,
have, okay, can I ask you if this is the last question? Because I
yes, this will be
really
the
have
last
to go.
question. I know you
Okay.
have to go. So, having said that, Carolyn, then how, in good conscience, can you stand by your vote to send these kids into an environment that you yourself understands is not safe?
You're talking about at Walnut?
I'm talking about at Walnut.
Well, that's what I just said. I said I had rethought. I am a proponent of the 6 feet rule. I am. That's what I'm saying. I said I reconsidered kind of my position on that. But I think that what we were doing, what we asked the superintendent to do was to really look at that option. Okay. But my personal perspective on it is that I would want kids back. If we're going to bring them back, whatever option, it has to be at 6 feet. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so what does that mean? So next week, my daughter and all these kids at Walnut Hills are going into an environment that you voted for that is going to be unsafe.
Not at
What's
Walnut
going to
Hills.
happen between now
Not
and
at Walnut Hills. Walnut Hills is sort of later in the phase.
okay, all right,
Okay. All
all
right.
right, but
So,
it'll still be not a safe option. Hey, listen,
okay.
Carol, listen, I really appreciate. Again, I could do this for hours and hours, but I know you have to go, and I appreciate your time this morning.
Yes, and Nathan, if I could say just one last word, and I
Sure.
know, and again, I'm reading the comments from the public,
Oh,
and
we need it.
I thank you for allowing this platform. And I know people don't agree with me, and I know that, and it's okay. I am their public official, and here's what happens: if people don't like me, they're gonna not elect me. But I've been working as an advocate for kids. I'm 68 years old. I've been working as an advocate for kids since I was 18. I think I've done something right. And I'm not saying, for me personally, this is personal in terms of how I think and how I try my best, as I'm sure all the board members do. So it's been a tough time. I understand the anger and the angst that people have. I respect their right to voice their concern. And we really do try to listen and hear and read every single communication. Right now, I have 700 plus. It comes in every day. I get it, but I'm also asking for a chance. And we are going to closely monitor things in the district, and the district has committed to being flexible and agile. And if it doesn't work, for whatever reason, I think we have to give thought to that. But I'm asking for support. That's all. And I'm asking for us to quell a lot of the personal attacks and the threats and all of that are going on. And I don't need to say any more about that because we're all in this together, whether we like it or not. So I appreciate the opportunity, Nathan, and I thank you for it.
So much micro question. I saw on Facebook you said that you are not going to resign. You posted it like 2 weeks.
Hello?
Are you there? Are you there, Carolyn? Hey, Carolyn, can you hear me?
I can't hear you, Nathan. Are we done?
Yes, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Hey, Carolyn. Hey, Carolyn. Oh, all right. We had Carolyn Jones on. I appreciate her for you still with me, everybody? Hopefully you still are. Good morning. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. That was Carolyn Jones, everybody. She was with us, and it was quite interesting.
It's that well-born experience. Yeah, it's that well-born experience. That well-born experience. 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 It's that well-born experience. That well-born experience. That well-born experience. Experience. Tell us what you need. That's the question we start with. We specialize selling condos, houses, apartments. Make sure that you happy with your residence. Keep it real, no filter. Otis, the realtor from the nattiest heaven sent. It's the well-born experience. Ain't nothing like it. Every time he talk to his client, he's so excited just knowing he able to put them in a place to lay their head. Not focusing on his profits, but on the client instead. Right. He keeps it so professional and from his conversation. You can tell he studies before sharing information.